Welcome to At Home with the Johnsons. With me, Lisa.
And me, Sam.
We're going to be discussing a load of different issues about having a multi-seven-figure business and what life is like. So we'll be talking life and we'll be talking a bit of business. But we'll also be talking some controversial topics, but we want you to get involved too.
Because we do love a debate.
We love a debate.
And if you want to get involved in the debate, you can join us on our Facebook group At Home with the Johnsons.
Hello.
Hello. All right. How you doing?
I'm just starting with something. Don't make me feel bad for saying hello.
No, I'm not making you feel bad.
Right.
It's just you wouldn't. I just snorted
You just
a little
snorted.
bit. If you don't normally greet me in the morning like that. But anyway, yeah.
On the podcast, I'm not greeting you in the morning.
I know, okay.
Right.
Carry on.
It's going to be one like that, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Today's podcast is about Room 101.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to explain to people who are listening or watching what Room 101 is?
Room 101 it comes from a book, I think, originally.
It's a TV programme.
No, but the TV programme, the name Room 101 comes from a book.
Oh.
So it's a room where you get rid of the things that you
Can't
stand
in life.
Things that wind you up. It's obviously not real, but there was
Are
a
people in Room 101?
Yeah, you can put whatever you want in there.
Oh, I might need to rethink
It's going to
everything.
have to be a big room in it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can put anything in it, and it can be really, really random. It's just, I find, right, I'm getting a bit older and I'm quite grumpy and
You seem to think that when you get older, you're allowed to be grumpier. I don't know who told you this rule, but it isn't true.
100% the rules. Like, I feel that what's the expression? I don't suffer fools.
Gladly, I think you're supposed to say.
Well, you can just say I don't suffer fools. But I think that's true. And so I find it quite cathartic to write a list of these things.
Things you don't like.
Yeah,
It's a bit negative.
I've got, so we're doing 3 today each, right? I've got a list of about 20 in my notes.
I know you have. I've seen it in your notes file.
Can you imagine how much of a challenge this was to get it down to 3 for this?
I'm going to interject there and say that I know we did say we were going to talk about some important topics on this podcast, and we will do that in future, but I'd like to do a few that are just easier to get us used to doing it. They won't all be business and they won't all be not business, but some of them are just going to be fun because I'm in that kind of mood. So today's one is just a fun one.
I'm happy with that. I'm much more comfortable with those ones.
I know, but we will get to controversial subjects and you're going to have to deal with it.
You know how much I like conflict.
I'm getting you in slowly.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, let me enjoy this one.
All right.
Who's going first?
You can if you want. You seem to want to.
Well, I don't know about that. Right. I'm going to start off. Which one should I start with?
What would you put in Room 101? Look, I could be a great presenter. What would you put in Room 101?
Do you have to... What's the shoulder thing? It's a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, if I intimidate you, you'll tell me stuff.
I'll be like, I don't know. Right, I'll start with one. One word, coffee.
Oh, God, this is going to go on.
I can't even. Right, where do I start?
You just said I can't even, like some kind of Gen Z.
Is that a Gen Z
I
thing?
can't even.
No, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, coffee. Now, there's a few things about it. Right? I don't like the smell of it, for starters, but that's not the main reason.
I've never had a coffee in my life. I don't know what it tastes like.
I know. Well, there's another podcast about your background and the reasons behind not having any
I was a Mormon.
caffeine.
That would be a very short podcast.
Look, on our first date, you told me your story about being a Mormon, and it was not a short... I think 3 hours later, when they were
That first date was really funny because I said to you...
What we're talking about.
I'm just interjecting. You allowed tangents on a podcast.
Fair play.
I said to you, tell me like a bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Tell me everything about your life. And it took about 4 minutes.
I didn't have much to tell, did I?
And then you asked me.
Yeah, 6 drinks later.
We were there like 3 hours later and I was still telling you my story.
It is, there's a book in that.
That was before this whole world of business even happened as well.
That was 11...
All right, get back to coffee.
What was it? Yeah, okay.
You
yeah,
don't
coffee.
like it?
No, I don't like it. It's not just the smell of it. In fact, I have a lovely memory of my dad, tangent coming, of my dad giving me, you remember those old big thermos flasks that had the white screw-on cup on the lid and a little
People
cup
took
inside?
to football?
Yeah, tartan they were, usually.
Yeah.
And after football on a Sunday morning, I'd be freezing cold, covered in mud, and he would give me a little bit of his really strong coffee out of his little cup. And that's the only fond memory of coffee I have. But anyway.
I know why you don't like it. It's the people, isn't it?
It's when you go, right? Let's say you have to get a cup a drink from Costa because there's nowhere else,
Yeah.
or the other one,
Like
Starbucks.
you just want a tea or
I want a cup of
whatever.
tea, right?
Takes
Which
2
means
seconds.
you put a bag in the water, you put a bit of milk in it. What's that taking you? 20 seconds?
Yeah.
Someone wants a mocha choco wanka frappuccino with oat milk latte topping, which I don't even know what these things are, right? I swear to you, it's 15 minutes.
You get really agitated. I watch you. You're in a queue and you're like shuffling your feet. And you're like looking around. You're doing that very British thing of tutting at people when they ask for something.
Sometimes I might roll my eyes as well.
But they're allowed to ask for something. They're in a coffee place and there are many coffees on the list.
I understand
Hazelnut,
this.
pumpkin,
I
spice
understand it,
things.
But the premise of this 101 is if I could get rid of things,
Would you get rid of the coffee or the people wanting the coffee?
What I'd do is go back to the olden days, right?
Where you go
White
coffee.
black coffee.
That's it.
They're the coffees.
No, you can't do that now. Imagine if you had just said, "Oh, can I have a coffee?" Someone would go, "What do you mean?"
I know. I think that does happen. People in my generation.
Like, what kind of coffee?
Well, what do you want?
I still don't know what a latte is.
I don't know. There's a flat white Americano,
Cappuccino.
latte, cappuccino.
No, but now there's weird ones.
Espresso.
Yeah, because Finian goes in and asks for a pumpkin something weird.
Do you know what? Espresso will feature in number 2 or 3 for me as well.
I know where you're going with all of it.
But we'll come back to that in a bit. So yeah, coffee. Just generally coffee and coffees that take half an hour to make.
You know what's going to happen
and
now?
have stupid names.
All of our friends, when they hear this podcast, are just going to bring you coffee.
They won't. That would be a waste, wouldn't it?
They will.
Bring me some nice, tea bags. Yorkshire Gold tea bags.
Do you remember when everyone... So I get sent quite a lot of, gifts
You do,
online,
yeah,
which is lovely. I'm very appreciative of these gifts that people send me.
We all love a Prezi.
And you got all annoyed because every time I said, I really want one of those paintings that looks like that, someone would send me it. Or I really like those chocolates, someone would send me it. And then you started going I like whiskey. No one did anything.
Craft beer, whiskey, football stuff.
And nothing happened.
Nothing ever came my way.
No.
Poor me, eh?
Poor you. Now you'll get coffee, I'm telling you. Right, let me tell you my first one then. The first, mine are all much more serious. No, they're not all much more serious.
They don't need to be serious.
Okay, I'm going to start with a less serious one.
Okay.
It's serious to me though.
Okay.
People at cash machines that haven't already decided what they need to do at the cash machine. Can I have 2 in one? Because it's the same with people at airports that have been to airports before, and when they get in the queue, and they're told you have to take your laptop out, they don't do it until they get to security. You knew it was coming. Now you're holding everyone up.
I can't even disagree with anything that you're saying.
It kills me when I'm just trying to get 20 quid out of the cash machine. That's all I'm trying to do. And there's a woman in front and she's got her 20 quid out. No, she hasn't actually. What she first does, she gets a statement.
Oh, and then they stand there for half an hour reading the mini statement.
And then she sits there. What can she take out? She doesn't know. She's thinking about it though. She sits looking at her statement for 5 minutes while I breathe heavily behind her. And then she'll go, oh yeah, I'll take 20 quid out. So then she puts her card and she gets 20 quid out. And then she goes, I'll get another. No, shall I? I'll get on my other card. Then she gets
the other
another
card,
out.
that happens. Yeah.
It drives me mental.
But you hate any of that kind of inefficiency.
Inefficiency, that is what it is.
Don't you?
Just think before you have. This is why Karen sometimes. Karen, our lovely friend and ops director, she doesn't do efficiency.
She'll love that she's getting a mention here already.
Well,
the thing with Kaz is she looks immaculate. She's perfectly turned out. She's efficient. Well, she's efficient
in some ways, in work ways.
In work ways, but if you tell her to be somewhere to catch
she
a plane,
won't be there. No, and the
earlier.
first time I went to an airport with her, remember that I'm the one always slagging off the people in front that haven't taken their liquids out. She gets to the front. Not only is she not put her liquids in a bag, she's got about 50 of them. And they're all over 50
Giant
mil.
bottles as well.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to be there. I'm like pretending I'm not with her while they tell her that she's not allowed to take anything, that she's got to chuck them all away. I don't understand it. I don't understand people that get there and then take their coats off. You knew it was going to happen.
No, I agree. And I don't think anyone could really argue with that one.
Like anything that's inefficient. Like we get quite annoyed walking. You know when you get off a plane.
We walk so fast,
and you just want to get out. You want to get there before everybody else gets there because then you won't have to queue for ages to do the passport control thing.
But nobody walks Johnson speed.
But they stroll. What are you strolling for? You're in an airport. There's nothing to look at.
But I think maybe we're too far the other way. I do.
No.
Okay, that's your number one.
Yeah.
What shall I do next? I'm going to do, now, as well as being a bit of a grumpy old man, I'm also a grammar pedant.
You really are.
I really lead the grammar police.
You're not really allowed to be these days.
Because sorry, I'm having it because this is our podcast.
Yeah, I'll tell you why you're not allowed to be, because youth of today,
That's another one. Are you putting them in?
What youth of today?
All of the youth. And where does that start and stop? Like 3 up to 18 or what?
Youth do... No, I mean like 30. What do you mean? I feel like people up to about 30 think that grammar doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, well,
people understand it. What are you going on about?
Don't steal my...
I'm just telling you the reasons why they shouldn't be in there.
So I'm going to go the broad brush definition of words, right? Obviously not all words. I will expand on that now. There are certain words that are just unacceptable. And these on my list are famalam,
oh yeah, I agree,
hollybobs, wifey, and hubster.
I can't deal with any of them.
I mean... No. What are you doing? You're not making the word shorter.
You're making it actually longer
than
and more annoying.
More annoying. So that's the first thing.
Can we add some more words to that?
Go on then. What other ones you got?
Can we add phrases as well?
Yeah.
Do you know what phrases
I'm not
I can't
lie.
stand?
What about that one?
I know you hate that one, or I turned around and said,
That's
didn't,
right.
did
I
you?
picture people in the street all turning around going, did you hear about this?
But why do they say I'm not going to lie? Because no one expects you to be lying.
Well, it makes me think that they're generically liars. Because if they say I'm not going to lie, you go, oh, well, I thought you probably were. So I'm glad you told me you're not.
Yeah.
Or not being funny or anything. No, I know you're not.
You don't like any of those. See, I don't like things like, when people go, there's 2 things that really get on my goat when it comes to words. The first is when someone gives you like a motivational quote online, and it's not very complicated. So it might say something like, other people's opinions won't pay your bills. That's not complicated. We can read that and go, yeah, that's true. But it goes, other people's opinions won't pay your bills. Read that again. I don't need to read it again. I'm clever enough to read it once and understand exactly what it said.
I know you're what's this phrase? Preaching to the converted.
Choir.
Choir? No.
But yeah, you don't need to read it again, but it tells you that every time, and sometimes it's just one sentence and it says read that again.
We could have done a whole podcast.
Can I give you one more?
Just on this. Go on, but it is my go.
I'll give it back. But actually, now you've reminded me, this is something that should be.
Can you just say that gets on my goat again?
It's on my goat.
He said, you would get on my goat. I've never heard that before.
That is a phrase. It gets on my goat.
It doesn't get on your goat, it gets your goat.
Nah, gets on my goat.
Okay. What's the other one, quickly, so I can get back to it?
The other one is when someone is writing something on social media. So let's say someone writes something really normal, like, hey, just bought these lovely dresses or whatever to go to an award ceremony tomorrow night. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Someone, somewhere, will pop up and go, there she is.
There she is.
Where was she? What do you mean there she is?
I know she's there. We're looking at the photo.
I don't understand it. It's like a thing that people have just suddenly decided this is something to say. You know, like when Ride or Die or all them came.
Goals used to be one. People used to just write goals.
Like all of those things that are just trends. I hate them. At the moment, it's demure. If you don't...
Demure's everywhere.
Everywhere.
And having little, tween-age kids, we get to know all the Skibbity and Riz and all that, don't we?
But they're better than there she is, and read that again.
I won't go on for long
tell me what to do.
It's kind of
all right, go on.
Going out. The last bit on the words thing is people who put 2 words together when they're separate words. I'm talking in case, as well, of course, each other. They're separate words.
Well, what do you mean they put them together?
No, they're not in case. INCASE is one word. As well.
That isn't one word.
No, a lot.
You think it's just a spelling error, surely?
No, it isn't, because it underlines it in red. Also, you get a lot. I've seen this a lot of times.
But they're 2 words.
I know this. This is why I'm saying it's going in my room 101. So that I won't go on.
Are you sure that's a thing?
Yeah, it's a massive thing. You start looking at your social media and you will see it everywhere.
Do you tell people not to do it when they do it?
No, because I'm too passive-aggressive for that.
What will you do, just tell?
I'd like to do a podcast about it.
Just send it to me and go, this is annoying me. No. Whereas I write underneath, well, I knew she was there anyway.
Yeah, I know.
And then people get annoyed with me.
But you're better at that sort of thing than me, aren't you?
Mine's passive-aggressive.
I just moan like a grumpy old man in my own house.
Let's talk about that. So my second thing is entitlement.
Wow, that's a biggie.
It's the word for 2025.
How long have you got?
2024. What year are we in?
2024.
2024. Entitlement. I could have a whole podcast on it, so I won't talk about it too much, but it's everywhere. This entitlement of, so somebody will write to me, like in my messenger, who's not even a client at 10 p.m. and ask me a question about business. And it's like, all right, I'm a nice person, so I'm going to answer your question about business, but I'll answer it tomorrow because it's 10 p.m. If I haven't answered by 7 a.m., they're going to write to me again and go, well, I thought you had integrity. Yeah. Well, you know, you say you want to help people with business, but you didn't get back to me. Stop being so bloody
Do you know what the other
entitled.
thing they say is so-called Lisa Johnson?
I know, but I am called that. They do say that a lot.
Yeah.
So-called Lisa Johnson. Well, I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand
No, I
it. I don't understand where this entitlement has come from, but it's everywhere. Like, you write a sales page, people get what you have sold them, but then they are like, well, I want one-to-one with you. And I'm like, well, that wasn't the thing that you bought.
That's why we make sure our sales pages are pretty clear.
Yeah, but you're like, well, you didn't buy that. You bought a course.
Yeah.
Well, I want one-to-one. Well, you bought a course. Well, I want a refund then. Now I've had everything that you've
Do you
given
think
me.
it's a generational thing? Are we just being old again?
No, because I think that some people that are being entitled are our age.
Okay, so it's not a generational thing, it's a product of the times.
The times,
regardless
maybe.
of the age of the people.
Yeah, I think people have given so much out that now people expect everything all the time. There's like a huge entitlement for everything that I've never seen before. And this year it's killed me, but it's made me go the other way. It's like if somebody's like being all entitled with me and like saying, well, I want this, this and this, I'll say no now, even if I would have given it to him.
You say it's made you go the other way, you didn't have far to go to get to the other way, did you? You mean you
No,
were pretty close
because
to
I've
that.
always hated entitlement.
I know.
I've always hated it. Like this whole, I am Google at the moment. We've talked about this over the past few weeks. My team and I have a bit of a laugh because every day someone writes to me on Messenger and asks me a question that isn't a client, that sometimes I've never heard of before, in a way that doesn't say please or thank you, that they could just put in Google. Someone actually wrote to me the other day and said, I need a paediatrician. Who is one that you would use?
I know, it's
I've
mad.
never used a paediatrician in my
I think
life.
that you are the font of knowledge on everything.
But there was no please, or what
I
would you be
know.
able to, or like what people write to me and go, I am having this event for charity, can you share it? No. You haven't said please. Or you needed
I don't know if
seriously.
you would anyway, even if they said please.
I think there's a lot out there of, I'm not going to share any of your stuff. And we've said this year. Like, there's lots of people who are like, people these days that are like, even close to me, can you share this? Can you put this in your group? Can you tell your followers about this? I will have a look to see if they've shared anything of mine in the past 6 months. If they haven't, I'm not doing it. Because it feels a bit entitled these days. There's no give or take anymore. It's just take.
That's fair enough. Can't argue with that one.
So entitlement in all forms goes in room 101.
Fair play. My last one, I had so many, but what I've gone for is people who say all modern music is rubbish.
Yeah, you can't.
They go,
Yeah.
music was brilliant in the 80s. No, it wasn't.
It was brilliant in the 80s. What are
No.
you talking about?
There was good stuff and there was
There was no
rubbish
shit stuff.
There was Bucks Fizz, anyone?
I love Bucks Fizz.
Oh, behave yourself.
What are you talking about?
There was awful music in the 80s. Even in the 60s, people go, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. There was also awful stuff.
I'm all right if you talk 60s, 70s, 90s. You talk 80s, we're going to have problems.
I think you've got your rose-tinted specs on.
I haven't.
There
Wow.
was some awful... What about the Birdie song? What about
Love the
Agadoo?
Birdie song. I could do all the moves to both
truthful,
of
that's
those
Butlins
things.
coming out in you
Yeah.
again, isn't it? But there was some terrible, terrible music, and what you're not doing is being objective.
I am being
you're
objective.
Going, it was the 80s.
With a little
It
bit
was
of
this
this-
like... It was
Know
this
the dance.
heavenly period. And I'm not focused on the 80s per se
You
anyway.
seem to
I
be.
use that as an example. The 60s, the 70s, there was some awful stuff in the 70s.
Like what? Disco?
No, disco was all right, but there was really, really poor, kind of like Bucks Fizz kind of stuff. There was the Brotherhood of Man. There was really, really poor, alongside the brilliant stuff like the Jam and the Clash.
You don't really like music snobs, but you are one.
I'm not a music snob
Yeah, you
at all.
are.
If you look on my phone, I'm listening to Little Mix, then I'm listening to Frank Sinatra, then I'm listening to Bob Marley, then I'm listening to Rage Against the Machine, then I'm listening to the Beastie Boys.
But
There's
if you hear
everything on
any
there.
of that music that goes, dun, dun, dun,
Yeah, that's
dun,
toilet,
then
innit?
you don't like it and you have a go and say this
I
isn't
don't think
music.
it's music. I think dance music, the clue's in the name.
But you can't
It's called
say.
dance. This is room 101. I can do whatever I want. Dance music, the clue's in the name. It's for dancing to. It's not for driving in. It's not called driving in your car music.
Can't people just decide how
Of
they
course
listen
they
to
can,
music?
but the purpose of this element is that this is room 101 and I get to choose what goes in. I'm not for 1 second thinking that one day I'll be Prime Minister and I will ban people who say all modern music is rubbish. And that was where I started from, to say all modern music
What
is
do you
rubbish.
think they mean by modern music? Like Taylor Swift?
I think they would have heard of Taylor Swift, but they won't look any further. So if in their 20s and maybe 30s, they would have sought out the music they liked.
Yeah.
Well, like, our kids don't, because all they listen to is music from manga soundtracks. But that's another thing.
And memes.
But,
Why? Like, they know weird music now. They know music we used to listen
like
to.
Astley.
And like Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush.
Yeah, but that was Stranger Things, but yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm like, why do you know this? And they're like, oh, it's on a meme.
Going back to what the
It's on a
point,
Minions cartoon.
there is great music in every generation. In every decade, every year, there is great music. I think people just lose the interest. And then rather than saying, I'm not really interested in modern music, they say it's all rubbish, which is a very different thing.
I feel like, other than the 80s, you're right, like 80s only had good music. And if we could all just listen to Magic FM and the 80s all the time, life would be better.
It'd be like living in your car.
Yeah, it's great living in my
little
car.
80s bubble.
Yeah, I love the 80s so much.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that another time, because this will go on way too long. But that's my third one done.
Have I still got one to do?
Yeah, you have. Can you remember what it is?
No. What have I done already? People at Cash Point.
Entitlement.
There was more.
You've got loads more.
I've got loads. I don't even know where to start. I want to put so many things in room 101.
Come up with one quick then. I wrote a list so I wouldn't forget.
It was the most important one, and I left it till last, and now I forgot it.
Gonna have to go with 5 then, aren't we?
No.
Do you want me to reel off some more?
Yeah, give me another one.
Middle-aged men in Lycra.
What, you mean on bike?
Mammals on bikes. Now, Lycra was invented for top-class athletes to make them more streamlined. If you're a 55-year-old stockbroker called Clive and you weigh 18.5 stone, that Lycra ain't going to do you much good on your 10 grand bike that you've bought to keep up with your neighbour.
It won't whiz you through
exactly.
like faster,
so that,
will it?
I'm nothing against, well, I have got against people on bikes.
You have things against everyone. People that walk through Leicester Square are in your target of hatred this weekend.
Not hatred.
Is that too far?
Yeah, it's too far. It's not a very nice word. I just really, really, really don't like them. And so yeah, but that would be another one you could put in. Motorbikes, just in general, just so noisy. There's no need to be that noisy.
I think maybe I'm just a nicer person because I don't have many things that
people would not think that, though, would they?
People never think that about
me.
me.
They normally think I'm the nice one.
Yeah, but that's like with everything. Everyone always thinks I'm like the stroppy one. Do you know what someone said? Someone said to me recently, oh, I heard a rumour about you. Like, there's loads of rumours about me, and I always love listening to them. But the latest rumour is that I sue everybody because I've sued one person.
It was only one.
I know, but I sue everybody that I come into contact with.
You won't do it again because of the horrible photo that they grabbed of you outside the court and then comes up on Google when you type in your name.
If they'd have told me, I wore that yellow coat purposely because I knew the paps were going to be outside.
But you just turned and had a really kind of like...
horrible look on my face.
Yeah, you looked a bit kind of like scary.
This is my room 101. Here's my room 101. Newspapers that turn what you say into something else. Like, twist everything you said.
You've got a little bit of people know you. Imagine being Taylor Swift or being Beyonce or being Ed Sheeran. Imagine the crap that they have to deal with.
So annoying. Remember that newspaper that came in? I was talking to somebody about this morning. We had a newspaper come in to talk about our gender roles are quite different. You do the cleaning and the cooking. I go and do most of the work. And that's how it's always been. And we'll do a whole podcast on that. But this newspaper came in. I'm not going to say which one. You can imagine. And they said, I'm not telling you.
I know which one it is. There's two. It'll be one of the two. Go on.
But anyway, they said, right, we want to take some photos of you. And they got me on the sofa. And then in the end, the whole headline was, my husband does everything while I laze around watching TV. And it was a picture of me on the sofa with a remote control in my hand.
I do remember that one.
I was annoyed.
But I feel, whilst that is annoying, it's sort of funny, isn't it?
I didn't find it funny. You should have seen the comments. Lazy cow.
You know that I don't read the comments in any of these things because I get upset too easily.
We'll talk about that later as well.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
We're done then, room 101,
I reckon, I feel like I'm going to end this podcast and go, oh God, I should have said about this and this and this.
Maybe it could be a recurring feature every few months.
Each room 101 that we do.
Chuck more in, yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
I'm always up for that.
You are, because you just like to rant about things.
There's lots of stuff I love. Maybe we should do a room 909 where we keep the things we love. No, but I've just made it up.
We would like to hear from you. If you have some Room 101 things that you would like to put in your own Room 101, we have a Facebook group that goes with this podcast called At Home with the Johnsons, and we would like you to go in there and tell us your Room 101s.
Cool.
You've been listening to At Home with the Johnsons.
Why not come and join the discussion at our Facebook group, At Home with the Johnsons?
Go and check the link in the show notes.